Hi everyone, I am going to be discussing the novel The Plague by Albert Camus. This novel was published on the 10th of June in 1947 by Albert Camus. He was born on the 7th of November in 1930 in Montavi, French Algeria. He became known for his political journalism, novels, and essays during the 1940s. His best-known works, including The Stranger and The Plague, are examples of absurdism. Camus won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1967 and died on the 4th of January in 1960s, at the age of 46. The story unfolds in the 1940s in the Algerian city of Oran, where it is described as a unique landscape winged with luminous hills and above a perfectly shaped bay. The story tells us how a modern society is affected by an extraordinary circumstance that ends up altering and changing the lifestyle in which people only work hard with the object of getting rich or, as they say, doing business. The main character is Werner Rilke, who is a local doctor, very rational, realistic, and atheist, and the first one who noticed that there was something really strange happening in the city. Jean Thoreau is an outsider who creates private journals of the events that occur in the town and examines how the plague affects people's daily lives. Thoreau's beliefs about personal and social responsibility are remarkably similar to those of Dr. Rieu. Father Peneluk is a Jewish priest in Iran. He is guided by religion and believes that the plague was a direct response from God to the town's sins. Then, he sees the plague as a test of faith. Jeff Grant is an elderly municipal clerk who remained in the same job for decades. He is trying to write a book, but he never finds the right words, so he has not gotten beyond the opening line. Raymond Rambert is a journalist from Paris. He comes to Oran to make a report on the living and sanitary conditions in the Arab population, but the sudden, unexpected total quarantine of Oran traps him in the city. He desperately struggles to find some method of escape from Oran to rejoin his wife in Paris. Cotard is a suspicious man who committed an unnamed crime in the past, so he constantly fears arrest and punishment. When the city of Oran falls under total quarantine, he is happy because he is not alone anymore in his state of fear. He also tried to commit suicide. Richard is the chairman of the medical association in Oran. Facing the plague, he adopts a wait-and-see attitude instead of alarming the public with immediate decisive action. Dr. Castell, an elderly doctor, is the first person to utter plague in reference to the strange fatal illness that appears after all the rats in Oran die. He and Dr. Rieu struggle with the authorities' denial and food dredging when they urge that stringent sanitation measures be taken to combat a possible epidemic. Mr. Michel is the concierge for the building where Rieu works. He is the first victim of the plague, and at the beginning of everything, he believed that rats were a kind of joke. In the modern city of Oran, Dr. Rio comes across a dead rat. Then, the number of dead rats who stumble out of their hiding places in a daze, let out drops of blood from their noses and expire, increasingly rapidly. The inhabitants accuse the authorities of not acting fast, so later they send people to collect the corpses and cremate them. The population heaves a sigh of relief, but this was just the beginning. Later on, the plague takes its first victim. Mr. Michel comes down with a strange fever, pains in all sorts of places, and a hard lump on his neck. Then he passed away in the ambulance. The population began to increase their fears because more cases appeared, and Dr. Weir and Castle believe that the disease is the bubonic plague. All the doctors of the city met each other and they concluded to treat the epidemic with preventive measures. But it was not all. The number of dead people increased as they passed, so the government decided to close the town gates and declare total quarantine. The people in Oran started to feel selfish personal distress, convinced that their pain is unique in comparison to common suffering and everyone reacts differently. But after the term of exile lasts several months, many of Oran's citizens lose their selfish obsession with personal suffering. They come to recognize the plague as a collective disaster that is everyone's concern. They confront their social responsibility and join the anti-plague efforts. After all the pain, the public quickly returns to its old routine and Dr. Ryu reveals he is the narrator of this story. From my perspective, the story is a vivid description about what we are struggling nowadays. It is important to say that we need to change things so that the world not remains the same among each human and among the nature.